So we will begin recording now so that everyone will have access to this meeting. Vamos a grabar esta reunión para que todos puedan tener acceso a esta reunión más tarde a la grabación. Y esta noche tenemos un intérprete, tenemos a 2 intérpretes para escuchar la presentación en español. Siguen estos pasos, por favor. El primer paso es ir hacia abajo en la pantalla donde tiene la palabra Interpretation y haga clic aquí y después seleccione Español, Spanish. Y para silenciar el audio original y solo escuchar el español, pueden hacer clic allá. Y voy a dejar entrar 7 más personas. Ok, muy bien. Lo siento que voy a tener que dejar entrar unas personas. So I will have to stop periodically, just make sure we've got everybody here and nobody in the waiting room. Y tenemos a 2 intérpretes esta noche porque tenemos una reunión muy larga, pero la interpretación debe continuar sin interrupciones y sin necesidad de cambiar nada por su parte. Okay, so we have 2 interpreters this evening for anyone that would like to listen to the presentation in Spanish. And because we have a longer meeting, we have 2 so that they can take turns. And that interpretation should continue without disruption, without you needing to do anything. But Daniel, if you could just let me know when you'd like to switch, that would be great. Thank you. Okay, Libby.
Okay. I just, if anyone would like to put any sort of comment in chat, we will try to address those things throughout the evening. And next screen. How do I move on to the next slide?
Oh, I'm controlling the slides.
Okay.
Yeah.
12, 13, let me.
That's okay. While you get oriented, I'll just say, we want to just say thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your time. We know it's a long day with distance learning, with balancing everything that families are having to balance. And so we really appreciate you taking the time to be here. We're eager to hear from you and how things are going and how we can support you, both individually and as a community. And we want to extend a personal thank you to Antonio Ramirez, who's joining us as a guest speaker tonight. So thank you, Antonio, for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, so at the end of the night, we will have time to speak in racial identity affinity groups. So if you have any questions about what your affinity group is for this evening.
So we'll start by defining what is an affinity group. So an affinity group is a group of people who share the same identity you do, and in the future we'll be doing affinity groups around grade level, so you can share concerns with shared grade level groups, or maybe different where your neighborhood is and sharing concerns in that regard. But for tonight we will be focusing on racial affinity groups. So when we talk about racial affinity groups, it's really important to keep in mind a few expectations. Firstly, we would like you to select the affinity group that matches your personal identity, not one that you are curious about or want to learn from. We would like you to please make sure that we honor that safe space that's created when we are matched by our racial identity, and to really protect that. We're going to offer a question or prompt to consider, but when you're in these groups, please discuss what feels most compelling to you. And then please keep these conversations as a safe space where people feel respected and heard. A phrase that I use in my classroom is share the air, meaning making sure that different people get turns to speak. The reason why we're talking about this now, given that they're at the end of the night, is because we're going to ask you to try something new. Bear with me as we go through a few steps. Explaining how to do this for the first time. So we will be having 2 affinity groups for tonight, and we're going to focus on racial identity. And we know that these identifiers are a little flawed with their wording, but we are trying our best. So group 1, we would like to host people who identify as a person of color or the global majority. And group 2 is if you identify as white or part of the global minority. And those numbers are important. I'll explain to you why. We're going to practice renaming ourselves, which might be a new skill for us, for some of us, by putting that number at the start of your name so that I know when I'm creating those breakout rooms, which group to put you with. So again, number 1 is identifying as a person of color, and number 2 is if you identify as white. And you do that by clicking on, if you hover over your face on Zoom, you'll see there's 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner. And if you click on those 3 dots, a pop-up menu will appear, and we'd like you to click where it says rename. And when you click rename, a box will appear that will allow you to edit the name that is showing on the screen. So my name automatically reads Bridger PTA on this account. I would identify as white, and so I would put the number 2 and then write my name. I also want to open it up to, if anyone would like to then add their pronouns to follow their name, that is also helpful just to make sure that we can refer respectfully to one another. So I'll give everybody just a moment to do that. And please feel free to unmute yourself if that was too fast. And let me know, because I know this is new.
Julia,
Yes.
it's Tara. Can you tell me the name of the other interpreter, please?
Yes, it should be Miguel Castro.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, hold on, Connor. We'll let you share. We'll introduce you in a moment. Are we ready to move on?
Okay, so please give a shout if we need another moment. Otherwise, we'll keep moving to the next slide and get started. Thank you so much. Okay, so just at the start of the meeting, we want to re-emphasize our priorities as a PTA. We are an anti-racist organization. We exist to empower families, and we want to provide families with a platform to share their opinions and to find resources and to have the opportunity to shape the experience of our students at Bridger. And we know that there is a history of primarily engaging only white privileged families and having a board of only white privileged families, and it is our goal to change that and give value to the voices and experiences of our communities of color, from how our meetings are structured to the degree that we're able under this platform, and how parents can get involved and how we put our efforts and where we put our efforts. So we just want to re-emphasize those and keep those front and center with all of our conversations tonight. And now we do have some kids with bedtimes. So we want to start off with student council. Elsa and Connor are here, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you all can see them a little bit more clearly. So do we have Connor? Connor, would you like to go ahead? And Elsa? And you all can both unmute yourselves, and I'll mute myself so we don't have any disruption.
Okay. Should I share my screen? If so, how? I don't know. I don't usually use Zoom, so.
No problem. So you go down to the bottom and click share screen, and a pop-up window will open. And then you click desktop or whichever you'd like to use, and then click the blue share button. And it should run very similar to Google Meet. Look at that. She's a natural.
I'm just gonna move you guys over here. Okay. So this is the Student Council PTA information slideshow.
What's new with Student Council? This year we are still having Student Council, but it will be a lot different. This year we will not have President, Treasurer, Secretary, Vice President, etc. Instead, we will be voting only on class reps. They will report to their first class what student council is planning. Another difference this year is that anyone can participate in student council. So even if your child doesn't win the election, they will still be able to take part in the meetings and activities for student council. Our meetings will not be held during live meets. They will be held during asynchronous time.
Student council elections. We are in the middle of the election and results will be announced on October 23rd. Our first meeting will be on October 30th. Events that your child would possibly be participating in and/or helping plan. Raising money by getting teachers of their choice to do TikTok dances. Entertaining toy drive, puzzles, books, stuff to keep you entertained during COVID. A food drive, clothes drive, and toy drive. Fundraisers for organizations that make safe spaces for the LGBT+ community and people of color. Fundraisers for organizations that help homeless people. Fundraisers that help people in other countries. We will be happy to work with the PTA on their projects. Any questions? And if there's one that me and Connor cannot answer, I'm just going to recommend contacting Miss Brinton or Maestra Julia. Your email addresses are up.
Thank you
There
so
was
much.
a question in chat about what grade student council is.
Student council will be grades 3 through 8, I believe.
3 through 8. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsa and Connor. Super job. Thank you so much. I do want to mention that we got a comment in the chat box. Thank you, Mara, for your feedback. So in terms of identifying your racial affinity group for later, just so I know who to sort you with, Mara was suggesting it might be worth saying that if you identify as mixed race or multiracial, you can choose whichever group you would like to be in today. Thank you for that feedback, Mara.
Okay, back to speaker view. We ready? Can you hear me?
Yes, Libby, go ahead.
Okay. So community updates. So next is we're going to be discussing our Bridger Students petition. We had a Bridger students create petition to rename Kellogg after the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Their letter reads as, Dear Portland Public Schools, I feel strongly that we should change the name of Kellogg Middle School to Ruth Bader Ginsburg Middle School. I feel this way because it is a new school, so it should have a new name. We have lots of schools, far too many in my opinion, named after white businessmen. Lastly, if kids go to schools centered only on white males, then kids who are not those two things may feel unimportant or worthless even. I trust that you do not want kids to feel this way, so I hope you will take my ideas into consideration. RWS, age 10 years, 5th grade, Bridger K-8 school. So on there's a link to sign the petition. And then there's a link to the video of our principal, Melissa Schochner, interviewing the Bridger students.
And we just want to compliment, you know, we've got student leaders like Elsa and Connor who came here tonight. We have a lot of powerful leaders in our student community here at Bridger. And so it would be so terrific if we could really honor these students, their engagement and their willingness to be proactive and involved in social change. So we would really appreciate if you would go and sign that petition to give some support. We'd really love to support these two kiddos.
Okay, so moving along, Stacy is going to give us our treasure report this evening, and then she's going to go over the reimbursement form as well. Again, thank you, Stacy.
Hi guys, I think I'm gonna leave my video off because for some reason my video and my audio don't like to work together. It's probably more important that you hear me, but I did put a link to the report at the very top of the technology is not always. Did it work? Okay. Yeah. So here is awesome. Here is the treasurer's report where we stand right now. Each of what you're looking at here at the very top, this is income, where we tend to get a lot of our funds. Most of it's auction, but things are going to look a little different this year. We have gotten a little bit from dine outs. We're partnered with Fred Meyer, and we've had a couple individual business donations. We do have t-shirts for sale, Chinook books, that kind of stuff. It's pretty slow to come in right now, honestly, which is fine. What you're seeing next is auction expenses. This is just the money that we have allocated for the auction. The expenses that you're seeing right now are basically just credit card fees. All right, so moving on to section C, this is school enrichment. So this is just kind of a window into what the programs that the PTA funds and who all we help within Bridger community. So as you can see, we take care of the Battle of the Books. We spend a lot of money on field trips, music support, playground, sun support, and we have a sustainability and zero waste initiative, which is really amazing. School enrichment fund here and staff support. This is another big one. We help with art supplies, PE supplies. Each of the teachers get an allowance to spend on whatever they want to help their classroom. Principal fund, vice principal fund. And then moving on.
Sorry, Stacy, you cut out for me. Can anybody else hear Stacy? Give me a thumbs up if you can still hear her.
This is a new one. This year we're offering emergency funding and support through COVID relief to our community. There is a form to fill out if that's something that you're in need of. And then also community engagement. This is like all of the fun stuff at Bridger, the fall ball, the field day, game night, all of that good stuff, Mount Tabor Blast. As you can see, with school not being in session, we really aren't spending a whole lot of money this year. And then these are just our operating costs. So yeah, that is my treasurer's report. Feel free to reach out with any questions about it, and I would glad to help. Glad to answer any questions. And also, I just wanted to let you guys know, with things being the way that we are, we really need to keep a close watch on the way that we are recording and recording our finances, basically. So if you have a request that you would like to get reimbursed for, we ask for you to go to the bridgerpta.org website. There's a reimbursement form attached to that website. Fill that out and send it to us along with any receipts. This ensures that you have I use it for receipts basically, and I also use it for tracking purposes. So if you happen to send me receipts with no reimbursement form attached, I cannot, unfortunately, guarantee reimbursement. So just a plug on that. Everything else should be good. So yeah. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, Stacy. I did see a question in the chat saying very random money question. I have a bunch of box tops that are expiring in November from before they switched to the app. Would love to turn them in somehow if it's still possible. Yes, if you want to turn those in to us, I would be happy to take them. Erin, I see you wiggling your fingers. You want to say something about that?
Yeah, I'm a box top girl.
Yeah, you are.
And who's the person who has them?
It's me, Andy.
Switching interpreter. Do you see that, Meister?
Yes, thank you.
So, could you bring them to the library
Sure.
tomorrow?
Yeah, we usually come most Thursdays anyway, so yeah.
Okay, and then I'll just make a note to pick them up. Ooh, how would I get? Is there somebody in the front office right now? I just wonder if there's any others like in the PTA box, or because November 3rd is the deadline to it have to be post dated. So Master Julio, you're saying there is somebody in the front office?
There is someone in the front office. Melissa, do you want to just clarify, would it be okay if someone were to drop something off and what the procedure would be for that?
Sure. So every day we have a person in the office. We take turns doing that duty. So there's always someone there. And you come to the front door and there's a buzzer now. And so you just ring the bell.
Okay.
And the person in the office will answer and come get it from you in a socially distanced way.
Okay. And Andy, what time were you thinking that you would drop them off?
Good question. What time are we? What?
Sorry to hijack.
I mean, during the library hours, so probably between like 1 and 3, maybe 1 to 4.
Yeah, one.
So if you could, if you could drop them off at the front office then instead, and then I'll just come in on Friday. So that way, anybody else, I guess maybe I'll have the front office, if they, or PTA or somebody could shoot out a quick mail saying if anybody has any physical ones to drop off by this Friday. Yeah, anyway, I'll deal with that.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, we are switching over to an app now, and we will send out some information about that maybe at the beginning of November after that expiration date, but you can just scan it now with your phone and it will get logged to Bridger. I really quickly want to double check, Miguel, were you able to get in okay? I've designated you as the secondary interpreter. I just want to make sure if anybody is needing interpretation that they're hearing Spanish right now.
I seem to be hearing the other interpreter, but I have not been assigned as an interpreter.
I did. Let me see if I can fix that. One moment. Thank you. Libby, do you want to go to the next slide real quick?
Yeah. We also need to move along because we need to hear from our speaker this evening. So the next slide is request for emergency funds, and we've gone over. We have been receiving requests. I'm not sure if I think that someone's not muted, maybe. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, Libby.
Okay.
Miguel, would you verify that your interpretation is working now?
Okay.
I'm not hearing anything on the Spanish channel. This is Tara.
Do we have a glitch?
Both Daniel and Miguel have been designated as interpreters. I'm not sure how we can fix that. Danielle is suggesting that if we could direct everybody to please go down to where it says interpretation. Miguel says he is in the channel now, so that should be working. Okay, so let's proceed and we'll keep going. And in a moment, we'll have everybody be practicing that. So, all right, let's keep going. I'm gonna share my screen again so we can.
Oh.
Thank you so much for your patience as we figure out these technical issues. Here we go.
Okay, so our emergency fund update.
Yes, so here in the presentation, you'll see a link to the slide that Stacy mentioned, the reimbursement form. We also mentioned at our last meeting that we have an emergency funds request form. These are funds that were set aside last spring in the amount of $10,000 with the specific goal of supporting families during the pandemic and also during the ongoing racial injustice that is being felt by our community. So we're happy to report that we have given $6,500 in support so far, which is great. And we've had this form filled out by families themselves, our SUN contacts, our Latino Network contacts, counselors and teachers. So we're really happy that this is getting out into our community and that we're able to provide this sort of support, and there's more to give. So if you are personally in need of this type of funding, or if you know someone who is not at this meeting, please pass this on to them so that we can continue to give this support effectively. And up next we have Hayes. Hayes, would you like to share about room parents?
Hi, everybody. How you doing? You can't say. Hope everybody's doing well. Our room parent program is up and running, and we had our first room parent meeting about a week and a half ago with on the order of 7 awesome folks really brainstorming about what room parents look like when we don't see each other at school and how we can use this as a way to really engage every single parent, every single family in every class across grade levels. A ton of good ideas there. Some of you may have already been contacted by your room parent. If you haven't, look for that contact. Their goal is to really connect with you, understand how school's going for you, and help be kind of a conduit of information between you and the PTA and your teacher. And we still have some openings. And so what I'd like to do with this time, if possible, is just read down the list of classes that we have open. And if you are a parent in that class and you would like to be the room parent, or you think you might be interested in being a room parent, but you want more info, if you could put your name in the chat and I'll grab it, and I'll also put my email in there. So let's see, Miss Glebe, Mejias, Miss Mejias Dominguez, first grade is covered. In second grade, Miss Schmidt and Miss Gilson, Lucy Gilson. In third grade, Miss Raby and Mr. Canedo Sanchez both need room parents. Maestra Elanta needs a room parent in fourth grade. In fifth grade, Miss Moyola needs a room parent. And then middle school, we've got covered. So really looking for a couple in kinder, a couple in second grade, a couple in third grade, Maestra Elanta and Maestra Moyola. So if you are interested in that, drop your name in the chat and I will pick it up and email you. And I'm also going to put my email in there in case anybody wants to chat about this. Just one other note is like we have some super experienced room parents who are bringing a bunch of good ideas, and then we've got some new folks who are bringing their own creativity to this. So really good stuff happening amongst this group, and perhaps the next room parent update, another room parent will share that out.
Thank you so much, Hayes. We're gonna, if you have questions for Hayes, put them in chat. We're gonna move along to Melanie's report with Sun Latino Network. Melanie?
Yeah, so I'll be very quick in honor of both Ms. Schochner and Antonio's time. One thing that is new to us, so our main focus at this time is resource support, and there's talk in the district about designating Bridger as a family resource center, and that would entail numerous things, but we're now gathering information about how myself and my team can best be utilized. So I've created a Google form. I'm going to put it in the chat. And if you can fill that out about what needs you see and how to best serve those needs, that will give us more of an idea of what our own role will be if we do become a family resource center. And I just want to encourage you to please read the Wildcat Word weekly. It has our updates every week about what's going on. And we have a few parent groups going on and class opportunities for families. So please check those out. And I'll put the form for our survey about community support in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melanie. We appreciate all your time and effort that you give the Bridger. For the sake, so next up we have Southeast Coalition proposal information. I don't know if we, for the sake of time, kind of want to skip over those or give out some information or talk about it at the end. And maybe Melissa might address some of this as well. So introduce Ms. Melissa Schochner, our principal, for her building report.
Hi guys. Yeah, tonight what I wanted to talk about is our community partnerships and all the different partners that we have. So we have a great partnership with Melanie and Latino Network, but we also have other ones, and some of them are new this year. And so I wanted to make sure that you are aware of some of the ones that we've continued and had to work and rethink about how. So each partnership, we have to think about how we do this in this new environment. And so it's been a lot of work, but I think it's going to be really beneficial for our students and families. And so I want to share kind of an overview, and I'll go as quickly as possible over some of the different great resources and partnerships that we have. And I'll have Elena share out the ones that are specific to kindergarten. So a couple of new ones is with organization REAP, R-E-A-P. This organization is, their goal is to proactively ignite, elevate, and engage the next wave of leaders for the future now. And what they'll be doing with us is doing mentoring for our 3rd through 8th grade students of color. And so we'll be looking to and determining with them some students of color that we think would fit in with this program and have mentoring with them. And it's going along the same line of mentoring. We also have a partnership with POIC. POIC is Portland Opportunities Industrialization Center. What this will be a peer modeling program. So students that are at Rosemary High School, and I think another high school that we have partnerships with, the students go through an intensive learning about how to be a mentor. And then these high school students would be partnered with our 7th graders with the hopes that they would be working together and being mentored for 2 years. And then if we still have some more spaces, we will look to 8th graders, but that focus will be on 7th grade students. We also have a partnership, a longstanding partnership with an organization called In for All, and they are focused on supporting our science. So in the 4th and 5th grades, they've been helping And I think that it will probably be around science kits that they're getting together for us, and we'll be able to give out on our Thursday handouts and they also partner sometimes with lessons in the classroom. And so I think they're still in the phases trying to figure out how that would work in our current environment. And then for the middle school component, in the past, they have done some work in our math or science classes. But this year, just the way things are set up, we think that what we're going to do is an science after school project. And it's engineering in the community. So they're thinking about how using science we can improve our community. And so they do some really great work with that. And they have experts in the field that come in and work with kids. And it's just an amazing program. So that will continue this year. Another new thing for us is, well, I guess it's not that new because I was here, I'm not sure how long ago, but I've heard rumors that in the past, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, Chess for Success. So Chess for Success will be coming back, and we'll be having a 3, 4, 5 chess club and a 6, 7, 8 chess club. We were able to find a coach. We just hired him today. And so information about how to sign up your child for chess will be coming soon. And the other thing that we just found out this week is that Amazon is going to be donating school supply kits to our school. And so that will be something that will be available. I think that they'll arrive this month. So starting in November, we'll be able to give out school supply kits that were sponsored by Amazon. We don't know exactly yet what's in the kits, but when we find out, every week we update our pickup supply list. So always make sure you check on that to see what's available for the week. And then I'm going to pass it over to Elena because we have another, a couple of partnerships that Elena has been working with.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So 2 other great organizations that we are continuing to partner with is the Shadow Project and SMART. So the Shadow Project, we've partnered with them in the past. Last year, they were responsible for providing and creating that amazing sensory room that we had at the Holiday Annex for our kindergarten students. And then they also continued to work with our staff so that we could replicate and implement a similar sensory room at Bridger's main campus for our older students. And so started working with them again over the summer and thinking about, well, how do we continue to provide support and tools for kids that have sensory needs now that we're not in the building. So we have worked with them and myself, along with our counselors and some special ed teachers and school psych. We created a list of kiddos knowing based on what we've seen while we were in the building and also what we saw in the spring, and just really being thoughtful about kiddos that we were already providing similar intervention for and providing sensory tools in the building and a space for them to have sensory breaks. And then a survey went out to those families so that they could give more input about specific sensory needs that they see and observations they see in the home with their child. And then the Shadow Project took all of that and created personal toolkits of sensory tools. And those got delivered to us today. They're all ready and organized to go. And so our secretary, Miss Susie, has been calling all those families and sending emails letting them know that tomorrow they can come get their long-awaited sensory toolkits. So we're getting some individual sensory toolkits into kiddos' hands so that they have those resources at home. And then in addition, we are continuing our partnership with SMART. We do a SMART program specifically for our kindergarten. And last year it was primarily with our neighborhood class. And one great thing about distance learning and doing a model with them that's virtually is it actually opened it up so that we can include our DLI classes as well. One of the issues with when we are in the building is finding enough volunteers that are bilingual and biliterate to be able to do that volunteer part of reading with kids in Spanish. But since it is all virtual right now, the model's a little bit different. So all of our kinder students in both neighborhood and DLI get 2 free books a month. However, because of the challenge of distribution. Instead of doing it monthly, they're doing it more like every few months. So an order form was shared with kindergarten families by teachers and also by me, so that each kid can actually choose 4 books right now. And then it should be about 3 weeks to a month before we have them, and then they can be picked up through just like our regular Thursday supply pickup and library books. And then the next time they get to order, they'll get 4 more. So in the end, it will end up being the same of 2 every month, but it will be with less pickups. So if you are a kindergarten family or know someone and you have not selected your books yet, please do. There's an English form and a Spanish form, so kids can get books in English, books in Spanish. They can choose like 2 and 2 if they want a combination. If for some reason a family does not complete the order, your kid will still get books. You just don't get, they won't get to choose them themselves. So then what will happen is I'll go through the list and we'll just make sure we have a nice selection of books so that everybody still gets 4 books each. And then the other thing with SMART is, since we are not doing in-person volunteer read-alouds, they're providing pre-recorded read-alouds, and that will happen in English and Spanish and then be available to all families to view at any time that they want, and that should start in November.
Thank you so much, Melissa and Elena, for that information. We appreciate you guys. Thank you to our administration. So I'm going to introduce again, welcome, a very warm welcome to Antonio Ramirez, the Immigration Navigator from Latino Network. Is going to be sharing information about immigrants' rights and the public charge. Welcome, Antonio.
And Antonio, we would love to have you give your presentation in Spanish. Was that what you were thinking?
Yes, that's correct. And then I don't know if I can share my screen with you guys.
Absolutely. Before you do so, I would love for all speakers who speak English to go down to the interpretation button and make sure that you click on hearing English, and that will sync you up to one of our 2 interpreters this evening so that you can hear Antonio's presentation interpreted. So please go ahead and do that now before Antonio begins. And Antonio, yes, you can share your screen. So you go down to the very bottom of your screen and there should be an icon that says interpretation on the bottom right. It's a globe shape. When you click that, a pop-up menu will open and it will say off, English or Spanish. And you can click on English if you would prefer to hear the interpretation. So please go ahead and do that now. Okay, Antonio, please go ahead whenever you're ready. Thank you so much.
Okay, just for the sake of time, so ¿cuántos minutos tengo?
Bueno, how many minutes do I have? Half an hour. Okay. Okay, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation. It's always nice to comment that this school is very close to me for different reasons. Right now, the first one is that 2 of my nephews are assisting. The second is that my wife actually was a teacher there at Bridger. And the other is that, well, I worked for a couple of years in the same team as Melanie. So we have a very long connection. So the school is still a part of me. I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here in this space and this.
Por ver que este PTA está haciendo todo lo técnicamente posible en estos momentos para incluir a padres que son de color, a padres que son de minorías y a lo largo del tiempo, pues obviamente para
the time, we're switching interpreters now.
And the hidden areas, especially because language is a barrier. So thank you for facilitating this process so that language isn't a barrier. And so,
me sugirió, me pidió que si podíamos trabajar en este conjunto. Fue muy importante para mí nuevamente retomar esto con Bridger. Es algo que ya habíamos venido conversando, tener una plática sobre cómo nuestra comunidad, la comunidad inmigrante, puede conocer sus derechos. Y no solamente la comunidad inmigrante, pero también la comunidad local o la comunidad que ha estado por aquí siempre, pueden ser aliados para precisamente procurar que los derechos de los inmigrantes, de las familias inmigrantes sean respetados. Ustedes creo que como maestros, los que sean maestros, sean parte del staff de Bridger, ustedes saben que si un niño tiene la preocupación de que sus papás o que los vayan a separar de sus papás, pues bueno, es un niño que no va a aprender, ¿verdad? Es un niño que va a estar preocupado de llegar a casa y no encontrar uno de sus padres. Y esto es un poco emocional, pero muy real. Y es por ello que Latino Network ya desde hace un par de años hemos venido trabajando duramente con la comunidad inmigrante, particularmente con la comunidad latina, para que conozca los derechos. Creo que todos sabemos que el tiempo para la comunidad inmigrante no es fácil, y estamos hablando de comunidad inmigrante en general, comunidad inmigrante que ha llegado legalmente o que quiere venir legalmente a los Estados Unidos, así como comunidad que no está autorizada para estar legalmente en los Estados Unidos. Les puedo compartir que la administración actual, la administración federal, en la actualidad, en lo que va de esta administración, ha implementado más de 400 políticas relacionadas al tema de migración. 400 new policies, 400 nuevas políticas con el hecho de limitar la inmigración legal y, por supuesto, seguir hostigando a las familias, los individuos que no tienen un estatus migratorio regular aquí en los Estados Unidos. También, como ustedes saben, pues este tipo de elecciones, estamos a menos de 2 semanas de que sean las elecciones. El trabajo que hace Latino Network junto con decenas de organizaciones alrededor del estado de Oregon, sabemos que se vienen tiempos difíciles, pase lo que pase, los resultados que sean en la elección presidencial, porque si continuamos con la misma administración, obviamente las políticas antimigratorias, racistas, van a seguir continuando, poniéndose en práctica. Ese es un escenario. El otro escenario es que si tenemos un nuevo presidente, si hay una nueva administración, la administración federal actual va a hacer todo lo posible para reprender a la comunidad inmigrante, para tomar venganza, porque pues bueno, así lo vemos nosotros, y esto es un tema que ha estado siempre en la agenda de la administración actual. Es una agenda política y que ha usado a la inmigración como una bandera principal para mover esa agenda política. Entonces, pues bueno, sea como sea, nuestra comunidad está en riesgo, y no quiero decir solamente la comunidad latina, en general la comunidad inmigrante, la comunidad de color. Y entonces, bueno, quiero reconocer este esfuerzo de Bridger, precisamente de reconocer que son tiempos difíciles para las familias inmigrantes y que estén haciendo todo lo posible para poder solidarizarse con las familias inmigrantes y apoyarlas en caso de que sea necesario. Esta presentación de Know Your Rights o Conozca sus Derechos, usualmente es una presentación que yo hago y toma alrededor de 2 horas porque es un poco detallada. En este momento solamente voy a pasar algunas diapositivas de la presentación, y aunque sé que mucha de la información no es aplicable para todos los que están escuchando la presentación, pero creo que, o para muchos, inclusive para muchas, es un tema nuevo, es un tema que realmente no se considera porque no es la experiencia vivida todos los días, mas sin embargo para la comunidad inmigrante sí la es. Y aunque posiblemente esta sea nueva información para algunos, creo que el hecho de que la puedan compartir con otros individuos, con otras familias, creo que eso ayuda mucho. Eso es un apoyo tremendo para las familias inmigrantes. Y bueno, esa es mi esperanza, que aunque no aplica a todos el tema o la información particular que vamos a hablar, pero bueno, que sean también personas que nos puedan ayudar a multiplicar esta información para que llegue a las personas que la necesitan. En este momento voy a compartir mi pantalla y voy a poner mi PowerPoint. Perdón, no sé si... No sé si... Un momento. Aquí está. ¿Pueden ver mi pantalla ahora? Ok, gracias.
Sí, Antonio.
Ok. Insisto, esta información voy a ir muy rápido, pero creo que, pues bueno, dando honor y agradeciendo a las personas de la comunidad inmigrante que están aquí, pues bueno, por eso es en español. Y me voy a enfocar en dos aspectos muy importantes y que son vitales que nuestras familias conozcan en caso de tener un contacto inesperado con inmigración. Esta información habla básicamente de los derechos que tenemos todas las personas que vivimos aquí en los Estados Unidos, independientemente de que tengamos documentos o no tengamos documentos. Quiero comentarles que el hecho de estar aquí en los Estados Unidos, sin importar el estatus migratorio, todos tenemos derechos, todos en teoría debemos ser respetados por la ley. La justicia se debe de aplicar a todos de igual manera, independientemente de su situación migratoria. Eso es cierto, es una realidad, pero también la otra realidad es que nuestros derechos no siempre son respetados. Y hemos visto en las noticias, hemos visto en las redes sociales algunas detenciones hechas por agentes de migración que realmente violan los derechos constitucionales de las personas. Y para nosotros, Latino Network, y lo que yo vengo haciendo en estos foros de educación a la comunidad, es que las personas conozcan sus derechos y sepan cómo hacerlos respetar, porque no podemos hacer que nuestros derechos se respeten si nosotros no los conocemos. Entonces, es importante que sepamos que independientemente de nuestra situación migratoria en este país, todos tenemos derechos y estos derechos nos los otorga la Constitución de los Estados Unidos. Estamos en un estado santuario y en una ciudad bastante progresiva que es Portland. Lo que significa estar en un estado santuario es que por orden de la gobernadora, y hay una ley que fue aprobada por el Congreso de Estados Unidos, ninguna fuerza del orden, ni la policía, ni el sheriff, ni la policía del estado puede colaborar con agentes de inmigración para que detengan a una persona. No puede haber recursos públicos que ayuden a las autoridades de migración a hacer su trabajo en Oregón. Es decir, obviamente las autoridades de migración, ICE, tiene la obligación y el derecho de ejercer su trabajo, pero el Estado es muy claro que el Estado no permite a ninguno de sus empleados ayudar a ese propósito. Como les comentaba, esta presentación es mucho más amplia, pero voy a comentarles un derecho fundamental que nos otorga la Constitución de los Estados Unidos, y esto les pido nuevamente las personas que no han reparado en esta situación de considerar, bueno, cuáles son mis derechos en la Constitución o cuáles son los derechos de Estados Unidos, que compartan esta información. El derecho a la privacidad está preservado por la Constitución de los Estados Unidos. Es decir, ninguna autoridad tiene el derecho a entrar a nuestra casa sin una orden judicial firmada por un juez, y más adelante voy a presentar brevemente lo que es una orden judicial firmada por un juez, o si nosotros no le damos nuestra autorización, no tienen derecho. No tienen derecho a entrar a nuestro domicilio. Insisto, a menos que tengan una orden firmada por un juez que les permita entrar al domicilio, o si no la tienen, que toquen y que abramos la puerta y les digamos, pásale. Bueno, a veces ni siquiera digamos, pásale. El hecho de abrir la puerta, eso ellos lo toman como una invitación implícita, como que implícitamente, sin decirles, les estamos diciendo, pasen. Y esto es muy importante tomarlo en cuenta porque muchos de los arrestos, si bien es cierto, afortunadamente en Oregon no ha habido arrestos masivos, no ha habido redadas todavía, muchas de las detenciones las sigue habiendo, pero muchas de las detenciones ocurren o en las casas, van al domicilio de la persona, usualmente en la mañana, cuando la persona está saliendo a trabajar, que está toda desconcertada, es ahí donde operan, o van y con artimañas entran a la casa. Entonces, es importante que nuestra comunidad sepa que para que un oficial de inmigración pueda entrar a nuestro domicilio, debe de tener una orden firmada por un juez o debe tener el permiso de nosotros. Es importante que no olvidemos esto, porque muchas detenciones han sucedido porque la gente no conoce este derecho. La gente, llegan agentes de inmigración, tocan a la puerta, les hablan con, somos la policía, les hablan con lenguaje intimidatorio, tienes que hablar con nosotros, déjanos pasar, si no te vas a meter en problemas. Y la gente se intimida, la gente no sabe y les permite el espacio, y es ahí donde todo se empieza a complicar. En conversaciones que yo he tenido con familias afectadas, porque un miembro de la familia ha sido detenido por inmigración, lo que me han comentado, si nosotros hubiésemos sabido esto, tal vez no hubieran detenido a mi familiar. Entonces es súper importante que las familias sepan que nadie puede entrar a su casa, ninguna fuerza del orden de migración podría entrar a su casa si no tiene una orden válida firmada por un juez o si no tiene la autorización de la persona que esté a cargo de la casa. También es importante reconocer que un menor de edad puede dar autorización a que pasen y esto ha sucedido. Llegan, tocan o tratan de entrar y hay un menor, hay un niño, les abre la puerta y se pasan. Entonces, y eso desde el punto de vista del sistema de justicia no es ilegal. Un menor podría dar acceso a agentes de inmigración. Por ello, es importante recordarles a nuestras familias o a las personas que puedan necesitar esta información que hay que educar a nuestros hijos. Hay que educar a las personas que viven con nosotros si es que compartimos una casa, un departamento. Es que cuando llegue alguien y toque la puerta, primero pregunten a la persona mayor, a la persona que está a cargo de la casa, decir, están tocando la puerta, ¿puedo abrir o no puedo abrir? O sea, educar a nuestros hijos para que estas situaciones no se den. Que haya una persona, que ellos sepan que si llega una persona desconocida y toca a la puerta, pues ellos no pueden abrir. Tienen que avisarle a la persona responsable para que la persona responsable del domicilio abra la puerta. Pero, insisto, no tenemos que abrir la puerta. Si vemos que es alguien que no conoce, preguntarle, número uno, ¿quién es usted? ¿Qué necesita? Identifíquese. Que le digan tengo una orden, déjame pasar. Pues bueno, pedir que le enseñen la orden por la ventana, puede ser, o que le pasen la orden del juez por debajo de la puerta. Y si tienen una orden, y más adelante voy a presentar una muy rápida, y es legal, bueno, tendremos que dejarlos pasar. Si no tienen una orden y nos dicen, déjame pasar porque si no te vas a meter en problemas, porque usan este tipo de lenguaje intimidatorio, pueden estar ahí toda la noche y no va a pasar nada porque no pueden entrar. Entonces, es súper importante que recordemos esto. Educar a nuestros hijos para que no abran la puerta si es que hay alguien que no conozcamos, si no es familiar, si no están esperando a nadie. Y esto da mucha seguridad y previene la seguridad de nuestras familias. Pero supongamos que de alguna manera los agentes de inmigración llegaron a su trabajo, pudieron entrar, o llegaron a su domicilio, también pudieron entrar. Tenemos otra protección que nos da la quinta enmienda de los Estados Unidos. Esta protección es el derecho a mantenernos callados. Es decir, esta enmienda de la Constitución protege a la persona para no decir nada sin antes hablar con un abogado, o da el derecho a la persona a guardar silencio y no contestar ninguna pregunta. Y es muy importante, les voy a decir por qué. Porque si tenemos algún contacto con la ley, algún agente de inmigración, si un agente nos pregunta, ¿de dónde eres? El hecho de que yo le diga, bueno, ¿o dónde naciste? Nací en México. Eso ya les da la autoridad o les da el motivo legal para poder seguir investigando más acerca de mi estatus migratorio. ¿Ok? Entonces, si sucede eso y me dicen a mí, supongamos que una situación, alguien entró a mi casa, a mi lugar de trabajo, tal vez no venga ni siquiera a buscarme a mí o yo no tengo nada que ver. Entonces, si a mí me preguntan, ¿tú cómo te llamas? O ¿tú de dónde eres? Yo tengo el derecho a decir, yo no quiero hablar y antes de hablar necesito consultar a un abogado. Y ese es un derecho fundamental porque si agentes de inmigración solamente actúan o me hostigan por la forma en que me veo, eso es lo que se llama perfil racial, solamente me están hostigando por mi raza, no necesariamente porque tengan una causa en contra de mí. Ellos no podrían saber si yo soy ciudadano americano, si yo nací aquí en los Estados Unidos. Ellos no podrían saber realmente. No pueden juzgarme por mi raza, no pueden juzgarme por mi color de piel para emprender una acción legal. Eso es totalmente ilegal. Más sin embargo, si ellos me preguntan y yo estoy intimidado porque ellos están entrenados para hablar de una forma autoritaria, de una forma agresiva, y eso intimida a la gente, ver a un oficial con una placa y con una pistola, y pues claro que intimida a la gente, pero si yo conozco el derecho que me da la quinta enmienda, yo puedo estar seguro sin ningún problema que no va a pasar nada.
Nothing is going to happen because they want me to speak. And I can continue to remain quiet. And they can't oblige me to do otherwise. And so, usually, my presentation turns around these rights so people can absorb these ideas and understand them. And believe me, we have had cases where people have been boarded by immigration agents. And when they know...
No quiere decir que la persona, si es el caso, haya arreglado su situación migratoria, ni mucho menos. Lo que quiere decir es que la familia no entra en crisis. No hay una detención que ponga a la familia en crisis. Es decir, si esto sucede, la familia, si la persona o el miembro de la familia no es detenido o detenida, esto le da la oportunidad para hacer un plan de familia, para decir, bueno, podemos tener esta situación, es muy probable porque tuve este encuentro con agentes de inmigración, ¿qué vamos a hacer como familia? ¿Cuáles son nuestras redes de apoyo? ¿Qué podemos pedir a la escuela? Hay que avisarle a la maestra. Hay que ver qué recursos tenemos en la comunidad, qué abogados tenemos en la comunidad. Latino Network puede hacer esas conexiones. Entonces es la importancia de conocer esta información y insisto, tal vez esta información no aplique para cada una de las personas que están escuchando la presentación, pero lo que yo creo que sí aplica es que por favor la compartan. Es por favor, si conocen a alguien que puede ser beneficiado, que le digan, mira, es tu derecho, si alguien llega a tu casa y tocan la puerta, no abras a menos de que pase esto. O si te llegan a detener o si llega a pasar algo que alguien entra a tu casa, tú tampoco no hables, es tu derecho. Mantenerte callado y no contestar ninguna pregunta y por más que te insistan o por más que te quieran intimidar, no va a pasar nada porque es tu derecho. Entonces, pues bueno, esas son derechos que tenemos. ¿Ven esta pantalla, esta orden? Ok, para las personas que no las conozcan, esto es una orden de entrada, de registro, que alguien puede entrar a nuestro domicilio y viene de una corte, y lo que es bien importante aquí, viene firmada por un juez. ¿Pueden ver este pedacito?
Lo siento, Antonio, solo vemos la presentación.
Oh, ¿no ven la...?
No vemos la orden.
Ok.
¿Es otro documento o está en otra página tal vez?
Es otro documento, pero tal vez entonces lo que tengo que hacer es cerrar tal vez el que tengo y voy a tratar de tomar el que les quiero mostrar. ¿Pueden ver mi documento? Todavía no.
Ahora usted no está compartiendo su pantalla. Cerró todo.
Oh. Se ve todo.
Ahora puedo ver su computadora.
Ok. Lo siento, ese...
No, está bien. Le
Me he
agradecemos
perdido,
mucho la información. Está bien.
me he perdido ahora en el Zoom. No sé si ya regresé a mi imagen.
Bueno, podemos ver unas montañas lindas y muchos documentos.
Ok, sí, es mi escritorio. Creo que he cerrado. Voy a parar de compartir la pantalla entonces. Y bueno, creo que podemos seguir la conversación sin necesidad de seguir. Permítanme un segundo. ¿Ya me pueden ver? ¿Pueden ver mi cara?
Bueno, como usted está presentando, veo ahora la página de Zoom como está en el web browser.
Ok.
Y tal vez es porque está como en full screen, como en pantalla completa. Y si se puede salir de esta opción, tal vez va a tener más opciones de cambiar entre las páginas.
Ok, pero estoy un poco perdido, lo siento. En la barra de abajo, ¿cómo puedo parar de compartir mi...?
Oh, yo lo puedo cerrar si usted quiere.
Ok, sí,
Ahora ya.
¿Ya? Perfecto.
Se escapó.
Ya regresé entonces.
Sí.
Ok. Bueno, pues por el tiempo que tenemos, creo que es algo de lo que yo puedo compartir con nuestra comunidad, con ustedes. Hay mucha información más que creo que es importante que nuestra comunidad conozca y por supuesto también miembros aliados de nuestra comunidad que conozcan, y es alguna plática que podemos continuar, pero sí quiero insistir, tiempos difíciles vienen, independientemente de lo que pase en este tiempo electoral, y mientras más informada esté la comunidad inmigrante, la comunidad de color, las comunidades de color, y también mientras más voluntad tengamos de reforzar estos partnerships entre las escuelas, Portland Public Schools y organizaciones comunitarias, creo que podemos hacer un buen trabajo. Y pues bueno, yo estoy disponible cuando sea necesario para tener este tipo de conversación que puede ir en diferentes direcciones. y con todo gusto lo podemos hacer. Y quisiera, bueno, ya no tuvimos tiempo de hablar sobre carga pública, pero creo que nuestra comunidad inmigrante necesita mucho apoyo porque hay incertidumbre y también hay mucho miedo. Entonces, los lugares más seguros donde nuestra comunidad se siente verdaderamente segura es en las escuelas y en las iglesias. Entonces, pues bueno, quiero agradecer el tiempo que pues nos han dado, y si tienen alguna pregunta que sea importante, 2 minutos tal vez, con todo gusto.
Yo sí tengo una pregunta, Antonio. Esta información se me hace muy buena y muy importante para traer más a la comunidad. ¿No la pudiera compartir por correo electrónico o algo así para que nosotros la tengamos? También lo que dijo que no pudo compartir, que viene siendo lo de la carta, que tuvo problemas para compartir. Eso también sería importante, porque si la comunidad hispana necesita saber más acerca de esta información que está disponible. Muchas veces nosotros como latinos nos concretamos más en trabajar y no nos concretamos en aprender un poquito de nuestros derechos. Yo pienso que esa información que se tiene es muy importante y muy buena. Si pudiera compartir, al menos conmigo, a mí me gustaría tener la información.
Claro que sí, con todo gusto. Me puedo poner de acuerdo con Melanie para hacerles llegar, sobre todo en materiales, más que el PowerPoint, porque el PowerPoint es largo, pero materiales que son muy concisos, que van paso a paso, que son muy entendibles para cualquier miembro de la comunidad que los lea y que sepa qué es lo que tiene que hacer. Y este material está en inglés y en español. Para aquellos que no son de la comunidad inmigrante, pero que sabemos que tenemos muchos aliados fuera de la comunidad inmigrante, también para que tengan la información y asimismo tengan ese conocimiento para poder que sea un tema de plática para alguien que lo necesita. Con todo gusto.
Y si también pudiera compartir, lo siento, y si también pudiera compartir su información, por si tenemos alguna pregunta después para poder contactarnos directamente con usted.
Claro.
Gracias.
¿Alguna otra pregunta?
Bueno, mil gracias, Antonio. Gracias por venir y por compartir esta información con nuestra comunidad. Y sería fantástico si usted pudiera compartir la presentación con nosotros, y esto podemos mandar por el boletín semanal que recibe toda la escuela. Y la información puedo recibir de Melanie también, o de usted directamente también, para que lo podamos compartir con la comunidad entera. Mil gracias.
Claro que sí, por supuesto que sí, claro.
Muchas gracias. Y ahora vamos a cambiar al inglés otra vez, de nuevo. I want to apologize that
Quiero disculpar que
sorry, I have to turn off my own interpretation. That many of you were unable to access the interpretation, perhaps because it doesn't work with specific web browsers. We were unaware of that. Obviously, our goal is for everyone to understand all the information presented in these gatherings. I do hope we can write that one off, though, as a very educational, eye-opening experience as to what many people who are non-native English speakers might be experiencing in meetings such as this. And I hope we can carry that experience forward. I also saw in the chat box, Antonio, thank you so much for bringing up just the power of your vote, right? These are times where our vote really matters, and Rocky is trying to rally a group of people who want to do some phone banking or text banking. So I'm going to write her email in the chat box. Again, she said you can reach out to her if you would like to get involved in that way. But we all know that the ballot is the big one for us here too. So please make sure that you all vote. You can rally your friends and contacts. We are at our last 10 minutes, and I apologize. Our timing was just a little bit longer than we anticipated. And I really appreciate the time it took that we identified ourselves with our affinity groups. I think that was really helpful just to get to know who is in the room. It looks like we have unfortunately run out of time to have those conversations tonight. But I do want to just close with what we ensured that we would cover, which is, I think, urgent information just about the Southeast Coalition. So we might just backpedal a little bit and share, however briefly, just to know where we're at and just to offer some clarity. And Melissa, you're going to fact check me, okay? So hopefully I get all this right. I'm going to share my screen here, make sure I'm on the correct slide. Just to give you all a little background information, because this was new to me, definitely. What is the Southeast Coalition? What is it even? So the Southeast Coalition includes principals and 2 parents from affected schools, which Bridger is definitely one of those. Parents who were interested in joining had to fill out a survey, proving that they were able to have a holistic and equitable perspective, meaning thinking beyond how they personally would be impacted, but how this would impact the rest of the community for years to come. Priority was given to people of color who were interested. And we at Bridger have 1 neighborhood parent and 1 DLI parent on the coalition team. It's important to know, because I know when we first received that draft, if you were like me, it was like, wait, is this the proposal? But I think they published that springboard document and all of those possible options for transparency, to know that that was what was being considered and weighed out by these principals and parents on the Southeast Coalition as they're creating a draft of their proposal. So this is not even the proposal draft that's being created yet. These are all of the thoughts that are going into the draft, all the options that are being considered. Input from the community and population data and funding data are being incorporated. And it's important to note that principals' voices are equal to parents in this process. So all the affected schools, its principals and parents, all are given equal voice here. And the final draft of this proposal is given to the school board on December 17th. Do I have that correct, Melissa?
I think so.
And then from there, the school board can make any changes that they like. So it's the Southeast Coalition delivers a proposal saying, these are our suggestions. This is our feedback based on everything we have studied, what we've heard from our community. Here's what we suggest you do to the school board. And then the school board can make their own decision. Ms. Schochner has shared a lot of information in our family newsletters, and here's a link to the summary of that information in English and in Spanish. And then if you are looking to give input, there are many ways that you can give input. Libby, I've got a kid coming in. Would you mind taking this one over for a second?
Hey, so yeah, if you're looking for ways for your voice to be heard, please, go to the PPS website. That is linked there. You can also send comments to the Guiding Coalition. You can fill out the apparently the survey closed today. So we both tried to go to it.
Can I update about the survey? So what happened was the survey was very kind of a closed survey. Like you were just answering questions that were asked. And so now when you go on, there is an open feedback form. So this is a more open-ended, more inclusive way of gathering data from families, because maybe sometimes when you have done a survey, like you answered all the questions, but you actually didn't share the opinions and things that you wanted to share. And so there's just been a switch to a different type of feedback process. So where the survey button was before, it's now a feedback button where you can give your open-ended feedback.
Awesome. Thank you for the clarification, Melissa. And then there's a virtual open house that's going to be occurring on October 29th. And apparently there's more information.
Sounds like it moved, right? I think, but yeah.
Things keep changing. We have been told that the open house is going to be moved to November 5th. And that gives our Guiding Coalition some more time to dig into the data and come up with one or a few proposals that will be shared at the open house. I know the other question is, what will the open house look like? And we don't know. That was one of the questions we asked. But we just got our homework. Andy, I don't know if you saw that, but we got a long list of things to read. So maybe it is in that our homework that we need to do before tomorrow night.
Thank you for that clarification.
I think we have. Oh.
Sorry, Andy.
I was gonna say, I think we have both parents on the. So I'm one of the parents, just candidly on the thing, and Dee is the other one. I think I saw that she's here, or was here.
Stop sharing. Do you want to wave, Andy, so people can find you?
Yeah. Hi.
Sorry, Andy, you were just on my screen. I didn't see Dee.
Thank you. And thank you for all your hard work. Those can't be easy meetings or easy decisions. So we are almost at our time. I just want to end just by reminding you that this presentation will be updated with the correct dates before we send it out in the newsletter. And including here, we have all the important upcoming dates, which include all those the Southeast Coalition dates for your reference. And we'll make sure that those are accurate before we publish this. So please put any final closing thoughts in the chat box. I do want to put in a particular request for if anybody has any other suggestions for future topics of discussion or future guest speakers that we might host for presentations. So themes that you are particularly interested in learning about or that you think our community would benefit from. We really appreciate you writing those suggestions in the chat box. I'm going to cruise through these. Here we go. So we do have one that has been, that has contacted us about how to have conversations with your student around puberty, sexuality, and pornography. Conversations that are not easy to have, but that is one that we have been kind of weighing out and are pursuing. But if you have any other suggestions, please put those in the chat box. If you have any final questions, please put those in the chat box and we will try to answer them when we put in our section of the newsletter that goes out. And we also want to reiterate that we are hoping to invite a series of guest speakers who identify as people of color. So as much as possible, that is the direction where we want to create a platform or want to use our platform to really raise the voices of the people of color of our community and beyond, and to educate our community by hearing the stories that people of color have to share. So we want to give priority to that. I want to say again, thank you so much for coming tonight. We really, really appreciate your time. Please try and reach out to anyone who you noticed was not here tonight. Please reach out before next time. 2 people you know.
And Shannon wanted to give a real quick moment, say something really quick.
Yeah, I was hoping that maybe Miss Russell could have a moment.
Sure, Miss Russell.
Hi, couldn't find the button. So many of you know me, some of you do not, but I've been at Bridger for a number of years. And I love Bridger, and I love you, the families and the children and the teachers and Ani. But I have received a opportunity to teach at Cleveland High School as a special educator, which has been my life goal. And so I will be leaving Bridger soon. Hopefully we'll be finding a teacher very soon for the math position. But I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for all of your support all of these years. You just have been awesome. Some of us have cooked together and done a lot of other things. So it's been wonderful. And you can always contact me. You have my number. So I'm always going to be just a phone call or email away. So I wanted to share. Thank you.
Congratulations, Miss Russell.
Thank you. Congrats.
Thank you. Okay, if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to write them in the chat box. We'll leave this meeting open just for a couple more minutes for that sake. Otherwise, we're going to close the meeting now. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your time. We will try to focus on our time management a little bit better next time because we really do want to prioritize time for you all to communicate in small groups. But man, was it worth it listening to you, Antonio. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us tonight. The information was really valuable for our community and I learned a lot from you. Thank you. So everybody take care. Chin up.
Bye, good night. Thank you to our interpreters as well.
Yes, thank you, Danielle and I'm sorry, I'm having trouble finding the other one. Thank you, Marco. I appreciate it. Take care, everyone. Good night. Thank you, Miguel.
Can you do that one more time, Maestra?
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, Kitty.
Thank you, Danielle. I learned, okay, I think we're just gonna have everybody choose their language at the beginning. How about that? That makes so much more sense. Now we understand. Learning every
does.
time. Thank you so much for coming back. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Daniel. And who was our other interpreter?
Can't hear you, Daniel, because I think I have, I don't have my interpretation on.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
I'm gonna stop recording now.